In this video, I'm going to provide you with a method for installing windows with flanges. This would be the window, this would be the flange. First thing we're going to do is start with a rough opening. Now for purposes of the video, I removed a lot of the walls and stuff back here. They seem like they were in the way. You can see we got a wall here. It was in case you're looking like a tornado came through this house, it did. So first thing we're going to do is start with a rough opening. The window manufacturer will be able to provide you with those specifications. Usually going to be a 1/2 inch larger than the actual window. And I might make another video and put a link in here for that also. First thing we are going to do is start with the bottom piece of flashing paper. The size of this might also be specified by the window manufacturer. I would like to see something at least 9 inches minimum for this. And then we will install 2 side pieces which will overlap at the bottom. And everything for the window, the water that gets on the window flashing paper or the lathing paper, the paper that will go over this to protect the wall studs, everything runs down. And remember, water doesn't go up. I've seen it go up. It'll go up sometimes, but most of the time it is going to go down. So when it goes down, if you had this paper over this one, then the water would go behind it. And then it would go behind it would go behind this paper. It wouldn't do any good. So this one first, this one laps over. That way any water that does roll onto this and then off to the side will continue rolling down. Hope that makes sense. Here's another view of how it is lapping the back side. And then you can always run the paper on the bottom a little bit farther, but you're not going to want it to be smaller than the edge here. So this would be the minimum right here, but it can always go past a little farther. Here we have the paper again. Window gets installed. Top flashing goes on. Top flashing again can be a little bit bigger, but it shouldn't be a little smaller. Let's go ahead and take a closer look here. You can see it lapping over. Again, here's the window. This is lapping over the flange. And then this one is under the window. Everything is designed so the water will roll off. Any water that rolls down on the top will roll off the top, either off the front or off the side, and continue working its way down. Let's take a look at the back. Now, you can see here that the ones on the side don't go all the way up. You can run them all the way up. I used to run them up on 9 inches. I'd run it up about 4 to 6 inches, something like that. And feel free to run it all the way to the top. It doesn't need to go past. But a lot of times, and my reasoning behind this is that most laps for flashing paper like this and stucco, the lathing paper, it only needs to lap like 1 inch. So I like to see it lap at least 2 inches, and that's why I have that. And that is the other side. And here you can see how the paper is lapping over the other paper on the side, or the flashing. Here's another tip I figured out a long time ago, and I rarely see anybody doing it, but I figured I would try and share it with you. But again, you would need to check with a window manufacturer to see if this is acceptable. A lot of times the window is going to be smaller than the door jamb. So what I like to do is extend the flashing paper a little bit farther past. Just gives me a little bit more insurance, I guess you should say, or you could say. And I like to do this just on the bottom and the 2 side pieces. You don't need to do it on the top piece, obviously. One more thing you should familiarize yourself with before you install the windows is that most window manufacturers would like to have them sealed. And sometimes in order to do that, you can put a bead of caulking down around the perimeter of the flashing. This would be the inside of the flashing. And then once you install the window, you will firmly press it against the caulking, and it'll squish it. It'll flatten out the caulking to create a nice seal. And you can run the caulking up a little bit at the top. Now, there is one more thing you can do. I mean, if you live in an area where you really have a lot of problems, you can always run another bead of caulking across here. Now would be a good time to do it. Or you can do it after you install the window, but you're not going to want to seal the bottom of this where the flashing paper is. You can seal the top of it. So if you wanted to seal the top, I think it'd be a good idea just to seal, run a bead of caulking along this area here at the top. I don't think you need to go, I don't think you need to touch the wood at all. However you can. Put as much caulking as you want on, the more might give you a little more insurance, I guess. So run a bead of caulking along the top, and that would fill all the holes. And then so just come across the top here, and you could always run it onto here, and then put the paper on. And then once the paper's on, you can just press the paper up against the caulking to get it to stick to the caulking. And this way it's going to keep it up a little bit. Do not seal this area here. I've actually seen people seal it, but it just doesn't make any sense. When I say do not seal it, that's just my personal opinion. The water will run down. There's a very good chance that it's not going to come up. This is usually 3/4 of an inch, something like that away. So there's a very good chance that the water is going to come down on the top of the window, work its way out through the sides or come out through the front, and not roll back up here. So I hope that makes sense. In the last section of this video, I want to show you some pictures of how the flashing paper looks, and you can always stop it at any time to get a closer look. This would be the bottom. You can see how here's the caulking that was behind the window, and when they put it in, they squashed it in there. The bottom piece of flashing paper, the side piece of flashing paper, the window sits over these pieces of flashing. Here's the side, and then here's a screw. And sometimes it's not going to be a bad idea to fill all of these holes with some type of a sealant. This would be the side again. And you can see every once in a while you can seal these. I've seen this happen a lot. I've seen people actually seal the windows and have these holes exposed, and the sealant is on this side and the hole's on this side, and the water just leaks right in. That's not always going to be a good thing. This is the other corner, and this is what it would look like as they're putting the lath and the building paper on. So you can see the bottom piece of flashing paper goes over the stucco paper. So any water that's going to get on the window is going to roll onto the flashing paper, onto the protective building paper, down through the weep screed, and safely away. So I hope that makes sense. There's another view of it, water that gets behind it. And then if you want to, you can always seal the sides of the paper, knock yourself out. This is kind of a reassurance. You can imagine water getting behind this. If it could somehow roll off to the side, it's going to affect the framing. But the width of the paper, that's why I said I'd like to see at least 9 inches. Some window manufacturers require 12-inch wide paper. You need to check with them first. Now here is a second layer of sealant that looks like the lather put on the person who was installing the stucco. You can see right here, this is a nice seal. So you can put as much of this stuff on as you feel necessary. And there's a close-up of it. And I would make sure you get an approved sealant. The window manufacturer might have specific sealants that you need to use. And they actually do sell window and door sealants. And I can't really give the name out or provide you with anything on that. Don't want to be supporting a company that might be out of business here in a few years, so it wouldn't make any sense. So that is it for the window. how to install windows. I hope you get a pretty good idea how to install them here. The window manufacturer will also tell you how many nails or screws you need to put in, and it's not uncommon to go every other hole that's in the windows, but it all depends on the window manufacturer. Here you can see there's a screw here, and then 2 spaces missing another screw. And I do know that they don't like to have you put them close to the corners. I don't know really what the reason is, but you can see this one here. It might actually be too close to the corner. They might actually want it in the other space. Again, read the installation instructions. If you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment area or send me an email. And if I miss something here, I will make another video and try to answer your question as soon as possible.